You're listening to the Manifesting Guide with Aryana Rollins. I'm glad you're here. But just before we begin, if you'd like to release the blocks to making more money, you can find it at Cracking the Code to Making More Money at highertrueself.com/freebies. It's yours to enjoy for free. Now, on to the show. Episode 19, Shock-Free Success. This is a recording from a live training that I did several years ago, and I thought it was so valuable, I wanted to share it with you today. So get some paper, get ready to make some notes, and have a breakthrough, because if we want to be successful, there's a little preparation. I'm glad you're here. Enjoy the show.
I believe we're born with a powerful mind, and we're meant to be taught how to use it to direct our lives and be able to attract and create what we desire. Well, it's been hijacked for many reasons. But I'd like to talk about something a little bit more empowering. If you think about the mind as being in two parts, one part's conscious, the other part is veiled from us. Let's call it the unconscious. We had access to it when we were children. We lived in this imaginary world. Now, when we're partnering with the conscious part, our deciding part, and the unconscious, we find ourselves doing the things that are right for us. We have access, and we have the energy, the confidence, the willingness to manifest what we want to experience. But what happens is we get trained out of that, and we settle. We condition ourselves to accepting what it is that's currently in our life, thinking we can't do any better. And fear starts to come in. As soon as fear starts to be attracted into ourselves, we find ourselves accepting more and more and more and detaching from our powerful resource, which is right in there in the unconscious mind. So when our wiring is working correctly, the conscious and the unconscious mind work harmoniously together to manifest our desires. That's how it's supposed to work. But life, parents, teachers, outside forces impose their values, their beliefs, and their rules onto us. And these unwelcome influences tend to have the opposite effect. They end up being a way others can control and manipulate us with fear. And that really short-circuits our natural wiring. We start to doubt our own intuitions. We doubt our perception of reality and truth in order to fit in and go along. I'm done with that. We are here to have a life of our creation, aligned with natural law and what's right for us. And we empower and educate you on how to heal this wiring, get it working correctly. So when you say you want something or you want to make a change, it happens. You learn how to disconnect from disempowering beliefs and restore that inner power and authority using the guidance of your higher wisdom, the true self. So today's class or show is on preparing for success and really making it shock-free. Now, most of us have heard stories of lottery winners or people who've received an inheritance only to burn through it. And sometimes they can be worse off than they were before. There's horror stories on the internet. It's really sad. Now, you may have also heard stories about people who were overnight successes. And then we discovered the truth is it was really 10 years in the making. Becoming successful takes preparation, and it's not likely the preparation you'd think it would take. It's not about getting better at your craft or about thinking positively or even selecting the right lottery numbers. Here is what it's about. There's nothing wrong with that, but here is what really causes success to be attracted to you. It's about you knowing yourself, accepting yourself, and becoming the causer creator. And in this class, you're going to learn how to or understand how your current capacity to receive goodness into your life has been limiting and capping you, and I'll give you ways how to elevate it. So if you think about last time you filled your car up with petrol, and say the tank, your car only holds 10 gallons, and imagine you tried to fill it up with 15 or 20 gallons. Likely it'd be spluttering all over you and you'd be like really smelly. Not a really good thing to happen. Well, it's like that when it comes to our sense, our ability to receive goodness, love, joy, prosperity, and all the success that comes with that state of being and attitude. So expanding your current capacity is a valuable skill and is well worth doing because you'll notice that life starts to flow with more grace and ease when you've expanded your capacity to receive. We all have an internal set point. It's a thermostat, so to speak, that defines how much joy, love, and even money that we can handle and accept into our life at any moment in time. Now, that set point can be altered. Unfortunately, it can be altered negatively by dramatic events in our life where our self-esteem is impacted or a sudden shock happens and we lose things. Maybe we lose things that we accumulated or valued, people, jobs, situations. And whether it was conscious or as extreme as I described, someone losing everything, it could have just been a small, minor event. But this set point was altered in your unconscious mind. So instead of, your petrol tank being able to receive 8 gallons, it's now receiving 2 or 3. So in this show today, you're going to learn how to use the unconscious mind to identify, or you're going to learn a way to use the unconscious mind to identify what your set point is around finances, and also understand how it can be used to elevate your self-worth, because truly self-worth and what's in your bank account can be directly correlated. I'm not talking about someone becoming so obsessed with making money that they become not a very good and loving human. I'm talking about the self-worth that starts to track your ability to make money, and they both go up at the same time. So growing your capacity to put more petrol in your tank, more money in your bank, more love and joy into your life is what I'm passionate about doing and teaching people. Here's kind of a funny analogy or story. It's an image that I saw. Imagine you're going into your favorite Italian restaurant or your favorite restaurant. In this example, you're hungry for spaghetti carbonara. You sit down at the table and your mouth is watering. You order your spaghetti carbonara, and you eat a generous serving. You're fully enjoying it, and then you're done. You can't eat any more. But on this occasion, try to eat another bowl, and you end up with a stomach ache, eventually throwing up. Well, graphic, I know, but there's a point. Your stomach's capacity is set to process a certain portion size. Yes, we can stretch it to be able to eat more, which means we have trained our stomach to handle more food. Whether that's good or bad doesn't matter. Now, if you're experiencing lack in any area of your life, love, joy, money, health, you've got some training to do. You can expand your capacity to receive gently at a speed and timing that's right for you. So you don't bolt down the food and then throw it up, or don't bolt down the winnings of a lottery or an inheritance and then spend it and it's gone. So avoiding the shock when success comes can help integrate success gradually, naturally, easily into your life. Preparing for it is really essential to being able to sustain it and maintain it. Here's a couple of examples. Have you ever seen someone get so excited about getting fit? Maybe it's the beginning of the year and they've set a New Year's resolution. They put on their jogging shoes and they go out and they run for miles. Well, the next day, it's hard to get out of bed, their muscles are sore, they're in pain. Maybe they even injured their knee. Or maybe you saw someone who's really lonely and they've been out of a relationship for a while and they fall into bed with the first person who asks. The relationship ends up being a disaster. What's going on here? Well, one thing is they didn't prepare for the activity or the event. In the example of the runner, gently working up to running a bit more each day until they reach their 5-mile jog around the park would have prevented pain and injury. Here's a personal story. When I was living in England, I decided that I wanted to start running. And I was working with a person who was she was the membership director actually at a local YMCA. No, back up. This was when I was in New York. And I decided I'm going to start to run. Never really ran in my life. So I said, I'll do 5 minutes. I went out there for 5 minutes and I came back. And she said, what are you doing? You're never going to get anywhere with that. The next day I went out, I think, for 7 minutes. And then I built it up until I was easily running 20 minutes. And then fast forward to England and I ran a half marathon. It's a beautiful location. It was running up the right by Windsor Castle, and I can't remember, running up that path, the Great Walk, that's what it's called. Now, back up, 5 minutes was all I was doing, and then I built it up. We're not trained to have patience, though, are we? We're trained in this culture for instant gratification. Well, instant gratification can set us up for an unconscious performance limit because we have this expectation that it's going to be fast and easy. In my experience, for lasting success, it takes some preparation. It doesn't have to be a long time, but it has to be conscious, has to be on purpose. So let's tell a story about the person who was lonely, and they allowed their loneliness need to drive them. I know, I've got compassion. It's hard when someone's not been in a relationship for a long time. So if they had prepared for a successful relationship, perhaps they could have identified the qualities of the person they like to be with, and they wouldn't have fallen into a relationship disaster, which that's probably the most difficult thing to overcome. Intimate relationship experiences, because they deeply can impact self-worth. And we forget who we are, we forget our value, and we can fall into something again and again where we aren't treated well, kind of looking for love in all the wrong places. Now, if this person prepared and they said, these are the qualities that really suit me, and they do what's called in cybernetic transposition terms, create a subsidiary target, where you literally can have 20 or 30 qualities of your perfect for you partner, or it could be a perfect for you job. And you write down all the qualities and you come up with experiences that your unconscious now says, yeah, I know exactly what you mean. And then it starts the wonderful work of manifesting. So if this person did this, if they knew about it, the loneliness would likely go away and they'd be more prepared to attract a high quality relationship partner. Now let's go back to looking at receiving family inheritance or huge lottery winners. If someone's prepared, they would likely put it into a trust. Maybe they'd hire a financial planner who they trust, a skilled person, and they'd take charge of the money, and maybe they'd give them an allowance to live on. Let's contrast to what really happens, and I know actually two personal stories of friend and family member who received nearly $1 million, both of them. And within 3-4 years, it was gone. And there's reasons why, because when we live in a place of lack and we don't have the nice car we'd really like to drive, or we're not living in a house we'd really like to live in, and we can't, spend money on our children or our friends. Well, when that money floods into the bank account, all you can see is, wow, I'm free and I can finally live a life that I've always wanted to live. Well, without some pre-planning, people don't realize that spending $100,000 or $200,000 a year in 5 years, it's gone. And what's sad is that they have now trained themselves to enjoy that lifestyle. So credit card debt goes up, and some people end up going into bankruptcy, all because of a family inheritance or a huge lottery winner. Wow, we don't need to go that way. Let's talk about preparing for success. You prepare your legs so you can run longer. You know your spending habits, and you know that you've got a little feeling of lack, and you recognize you might likely spend the money. You need help to manage the fantastic inflow of resources. You're doing this before the money comes in. You're doing this before you sign up for the marathon. And you need to know yourself. Accept yourself, even the bad choices that caused harm and suffering, and become the person or situation you seek to attract. Now, we're not talking about good behavior strategies. What we're talking about is operating at a deeper level. It's running in the unconscious mind. It's the program. It's the program that dictates your capacity to receive success and maintain it. It's called unconscious emotional performance limits. And it's emotional because that emotion, if you look at the word, it's emotion, it's energy in motion. It's the fuel, it's the passion, it's the will, it's the drive that causes you to do the things that will be successful. We have the thought we want something. It's the emotion that gets activated that brings it into physical reality. So when we have unconscious emotional limits, those are caps. So I'd like to give you a practical example here, bringing it home to you, making it personal. If you've got a piece of paper and a pen, that'd be great. You can do this live. If not, you can listen to the recording, which will be put on the blog over the next couple of days. I'd like you to think back to a time when you felt a sense of joy, well-being, fulfillment, satisfaction. It was a time in your life when things were going well. There was well-being, really. Now, if you aren't able to do that, I can guide you through a real quick 2 to 3 minute meditation, which is very peaceful and grounding, and likely the memory will pop up. Please don't do this if you're driving now. So if you're able to close your eyes and put your feet flat on the floor, then I'll walk you through this meditation, and then you can write down what you see. All right. So just gently close your eyes and give yourself just a few moments in time to disconnect from the outside world, all your to-dos and all the pressure. Just leave it there. Take a deep breath in of peace and calming. Exhale out the earlier part of your day. Now I'd like you to picture yourself in a beautiful nature scene. Maybe you're at the seaside, you're hearing the lapping waves, and there's warmth of the sun on your skin, and the temperature's perfect. Or maybe you're in the mountains by these big trees. Wherever it is, I'd like you to picture yourself there, just there for a moment, and breathe in that high-quality air. It's filled with oxygen and vital life force. Breathe that in. And exhale out the earlier part of the radio show and any free-floating thoughts you might have. Good. Now imagine your feet placed flat on the floor, that you have grounding roots that connect you deeply with the earth. Imagine you can follow one of those roots coming out of the bottom of your feet into this circle of light. Follow it all the way, and you see this circle of light in the center of the earth. Imagine you can plant one of those roots in that circle of light and allow the stress to just melt. All the resistance that you're holding in your cells, your mind, your emotions, allow it to just drop and flow out your feet into the soil of the earth below. You might feel a bit of tingling as it leaves your body. Now bring your awareness to the area, the center of your chest, right above your heart, and I'd like you to ask to be shown a memory where you felt satisfied, fulfilled, relaxed, peaceful, maybe even loved. Now, it might kind of get an intuitive feeling, or you might see something or hear something. Whatever it is, fine. If you don't, that's fine too. It just means that you're in a bit more of a stress state, and that's okay. If you see something, I'd like you to rate that image on a 1 to 10 scale, 10 being very fulfilling, desirable. You felt really well there. And then 1 being undesirable. Okay, hopefully it's close to a 10. Perfect. Now I'd like you to ask a question and imagine that you'll get an answer. And the answer will be to this question. True self, the part of me that knows what's for my highest good, the seat of my integrity, my higher self. Was I aware of your presence in that moment? If you don't get anything, that's fine, because that takes a little bit of training, but soon it will come. And if you get a no, that's fine. That just means you weren't aware of it, but true self was present, helping guide that joyful, fulfilling moment. All right, and you can open your eyes. Wonderful. Now, if you'd like to take a moment to write down that memory, that would be great. Now, this 1 to 10 scale, remember 10 equals discontent. You just felt off. 1 is complete fulfillment. Nothing can be added. When we are aligned and we are following our higher wisdom, 10's complete fulfillment happens more and more and more. Not that your days are perfect, you never have struggles. It's just you bounce back more quickly. Instead of being taken out by an intense argument or demand by someone for hours or days, it can be just a few moments, and you relegate it, you let go. All right, so now I'd like you to remember back to a time when your life was going pretty well. Maybe each day wasn't a 10, but life was pretty good. You had what you needed. You felt secure. You had good people around you. You were satisfied. You really didn't see anything coming that would end your good life. Most of life was flowing well. And we always think it'll continue. And we sometimes can take it even for granted, and we can go on autopilot, not really recognizing the goodness of our life in that moment and being grateful. If that's something you're interested in, there is a radio show that I did on developing self-gratitude. It's a really useful one, self-gratitude, because you are the causer and creator of even the good things in your life. So if you think back to that time in your life, can you recall when it ended? What changed? What happened? Was it a decision you made to take your life in another direction? Change jobs? Maybe you moved? Was it a new relationship? It might have been something that seemed seemingly small or insignificant, but as you look back, it was a big decision. Or maybe something happened to you outside your control. If you've got a sense of what happened or an idea, please write that down on another piece of paper, separate piece of paper. If you know that triggering moment where you felt your life kind of got off track, this is really valuable. Okay. Now, I'd like you to rate that on that same scale, 1 to 10. And I'm going to tell you what I mean and why I keep saying ratings. 1 to 10, 10 is fulfilling and complete. 1 is discontent, frustration, sadness, anger, fear, or any other kind of negative emotion, negativity. Likely it's going to be pretty low rated, that moment, if you remembered it, it took you off track. Now, why am I rating? Well, our conscious mind is experiencing life, and it's kind of the windows, right? We see what's right in front of us, and we know what's desirable and fulfilling, and we know what's not. Our unconscious mind is always curious. How are you perceiving what's going on? It wants to know. So as you go through and you rate things, not as in a critical, judgmental way of other people, but as you're rating your experiences, especially as you choose to work with cybernetic transposition more, this is valuable feedback. It tells your unconscious mind, ooh, he likes that one, great. Now I know how to better serve him. Your unconscious mind is your servant. Amazingly, we're just not trained how to use it effectively. That's what CT does, cybernetic transposition, teaches you how to manage your unconscious. So you're experiencing more and more what you do want to experience and less of what you don't want. So that memory of what you may have recalled that one where it took you off track, is likely an example of an unconscious emotional limit. It's the moment when the limit was recorded in your unconscious mind. The decision was made to avoid the kind of loss and pain and suffering that you experienced. Now, your unconscious mind will keep that memory. It's like written in stone. It's there now to protect you, really. But in that protection, it doesn't realize that it could be changed. And it's put a limit. It's put a set point. Like it's contracted that fuel, the fuel level in the petrol tank that can only take now 3 gallons instead of 10. And it will put a governor and say, don't go beyond that. Nope, we can't take that opportunity. We can't do that because look what happened last time. You can't experience that level of joy, even though it looks like it would be a good relationship or a good job or a good business opportunity. No, don't take it. Don't even try. Have you ever had that experience? Most people have, but a lot of people aren't conscious of it. You'll see the result of it, or maybe you've watched it in a movie where someone meets a potential love of their life and they're carrying all the baggage of a past relationship and they can't say yes. Or they attract this incredible job opportunity, but they don't feel worthy of making the money that this person's offering them because they're only making maybe $50,000 and this job is offering $150,000. Now, they could take the job and then end up getting fired. That's one of those lottery winner stories as an example of it, and maybe in our physical life, what we might experience. So do you remember that moment that your life changed? Like what happened after that event? Did you ever feel you got back on track to that, when life was good? Most of us don't. We just settle and accept what comes with life. And even if we do make an attempt to make a change, often we can find fault in it. Oh, this isn't going to work. We doubt it. And those are just blockers, unconscious self-defeating patterns that are trying to keep us in our box. Now, when we get back on track, it's really beneficial to know what's going on that caused us to get off. And in the first module of the Highest Potential Curriculum for Self-Mastery, we go into this in detail. We take 4 sessions that help you understand the different triggering moments over your life and resolve them permanently. Elevate them so they have no control over your future decisions. And it's a way, really, of releasing history and overriding the tape, the magnetic tape that says life is always like this. Because unless we're picked up out of our current life situation and we're put into this royal, rich, wonderful situation where all our needs are taken care of and we can go into a massive healing state, who has that possibility? We have to learn how to adapt to where we are right now and make the changes as they come at us. And maintaining life, even when it comes at us with a curveball. So you stay centered, grounded, managing stress and chaos at a level you didn't even think was possible that you could do it. So when we carry these unconscious performance limits, they're really trying to protect us. They're trying to keep, they're saying to us, hey, I can manage your life where it is right now. Please don't change anything because I don't know if I can manage it for you then. So these new seeds of what you want to experience, and as you infuse it with vital emotional fuel, belief and certainty it will happen, it will happen. You can prepare for that success moment by identifying trigger moments and heal them. These performance limits we're talking about. And for those of you new to Cybernetic Transposition, I do have some little mini programs that you can try, and you can kind of get a sense of how I teach, does it fit your style, and experiencing a little 4-class, it's a mini class on the basics of emotional performance limits and how to remove the triggering moments. So you're able to attract more joy, love, and prosperity, and most importantly, you keep it. You're able to nurture it and sustain it. It doesn't come in and then go, come in and then go. Remember back to the beginning of the show where I talked about, growing the capacity for your stomach to eat more, or the petrol tank can hold more. I know it's not a great idea, but if you remember back when you were a baby and maybe you were breastfeeding, of course you were bottle fed, your stomach was tiny. And as you grew, your stomach grew, and actually didn't grow as big in proportion as your body, but you were able to eat more complex food, larger quantities. And so you weren't needing to eat every 2 hours, which when you're breastfed, you do. So learning how to manage your body and know how to train yourself to be able to handle more success and prepare for it, because these things are not intuitive. Working with your unconscious mind is not intuitive. The blockers say, don't go that way, don't do this. But when you have the management schools, the tools and the skills to work with your unconscious mind, then they become second nature. Now remember, letting go of the how, saying yes to what's happening in the moment is the best way to be able to prepare for life and prepare for what it is that you want to happen. You know what you want and you let it go.
Okay. This is the first time I've listened to one of these, and it was really great. And I am so.
Oh, how did you find it?
I talked to you before, and I can relate to what you're saying, because when I think about my life, and I'm like, well, I'd always quit my job, and I'm like, well, why didn't I stay? Or because I was worried about something else, and I had a good job and a good setup, except for certain details, and now I'm all happy because I've got another job. So, but
so I'm glad that you could relate to it.
Yeah, I want to get into the CT more.
Okay, wonderful. Do you have the book, the basic introductory book, the Fast Money book?
Yes. Oh, yes.
It's like a real good basic understanding. It inspires a lot of hope. You now have access to tools and it can accomplish precisely what you want to experience. And you've started the wonderful process of reclaiming your inner power, your passion, your peace, and purpose. Stay with it. Have a wonderful, blessed day. Bye for now.
If you've enjoyed the show and would like to get notifications of future episodes, go to highertrueself.com/podcast. Now, if you'd like to build true self-confidence, you can get one of our guided meditations and exercises completely for free. You can find it at highertrueself.com/freebies. Remember, self-confirmation frees you to be yourself.